Every year around the holiday season, thousands of so-called court cases about something that should be considered a holiday or not take place. Most, like the one taking place right now, is total and complete absurdity. He's actually quoting the 1984 television series V right now. However, every now and again, there are some court cases that are actually worth listening to. This man right here, Mike Donovan, is one of those who isn't a complete oddity and has a holiday that makes some sense. Then again, the unexpected is to be expected.
And after that, Your Honor, the red dust was released, resulting in the visitors to leave. That is why October 26th should be the United States holiday.
What would this holiday be called?
It would be called Liberation Day.
I'll consider it. Next! Name, and why are you here?
Mike Donovan, I'm here to make December 13th John Knox Day.
Why should it be John Knox Day? Who is John Knox? What did he do to receive a whole day?
John Knox was a Scottish clergyman who was one of the leaders of the Protestant Reformation.
What is the Protestant Reformation?
It was the European Christian Reform movement that had established Protestant Christianity as a branch of contemporary Christianity. John Knox was one of the leaders, like Martin Luther and John Calvin.
Okay, thank you. What were you saying?
I was saying that he was considered the founder of Presbyterian domination in Scotland.
What would that be?
The Presbyterian domination was a denomination or identification of Presbyterian, which is a follower of Calvinism.
This is getting kind of old. What is Calvinism?
Basically, the emphasis on the sovereignty of God, the authority of scriptures, and the necessity of grace through faith in Christ.
That I understand. Can you tell me about the life of John Knox?
Okay. He was born sometime between 1505 and 1515 in East Lothian, which is near Haddington. His mother, Sinclair, gave birth to him. His father was William Knox. Soon after, however, she died. His father was grieving for years. He was educated at the grammar school in Haddington. At this time, only those who were academic could follow priesthood. He then went on for further studies at the University of St. Andrews or at the University of Glasgow. He studied under John Major, who was one of the greatest scholars of the time. He first appears in public records as a priest and notary in 1540. He had become a tutor for the two sons of Hugh Duplass of Longniddry, and he also taught the sons of John Cockburn of Ormiston.
So how did he become a Protestant?
It hasn't been recorded how he exactly became a Protestant, but it is known that he was greatly influenced by George Wishart.
And he is?
He was a reformer who tried to escape punishment for heresy in 1538. He first moved to England and preached against the veneration of the Virgin Mary, or the praying for the Virgin Mary. He was burned in shame at the Church of St. Nicholas as a sign of aberration. Eventually, after taking refuge in Germany and Switzerland, he translated the first Helvetic Confession into English. He returned to Scotland in 1544, and when he was in East Lothian preaching, he became close associates with Knox. However, things ended up badly for him. Wishart was seized by the third Earl of Bothwell, Patrick Hepburn. John Knox was present and would have followed him into captivity, but was talked into staying behind. Knox avoided being arrested by returning to tutoring. However, Wishart was burned at the stake in the presence of Cardinal Beaton, who had sent out the orders for Wishart being seized.
I'm assuming that the Christians at this time were pretty strict about how you were supposed to worship him.
You assumed correctly, Your Honor.
So what happened to John Knox afterwards?
The chaplain of the garrison, John Ruff, was proposed to Knox for the congregation for the office pastor. John Knox hated the idea so much he ran out of the room in tears. Eventually, though, he did take that office. He became chaplain of the castle garrison, but not for long. They were invaded by the French and became captive in a French ship's galley prison. In February of 1549, 19 months after being in the galley prison, Knox was released for unknown reasons.
What had happened next?
He had taken refuge in England. There, he was licensed to work in the Church of England because the Reformation in England was a lot less radical than in most places. There, he had met his wife, Marjorie Bowies.
That's very interesting, but I don't particularly care about Marjorie Bowies. What had happened in England?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. He had been appointed a preacher of St. Nicholas's Church near the end of 1550. He was offered to be bishopric of Rochester, but he refused after John Dudley, the first Duke of Northumberland, had seen him as a political tool. In 1553, the king had died, and his successor, Mary Tudor, had established Roman Catholicism, and it was no longer safe for John. He had left in January 1554.
Where did he go after that?
He had started his journey by going to Dieppe, France, where he continued to Geneva. He had then received an invitation from a congregation of English exiles in Frankfurt, where he then went to become a minister. He accepted, but had realized soon after that he arrived that they used a reformed liturgy and a modified version of the Book of Common Prayer, which he had objected to.